Sano.
There you go.
Good evening, everybody.
Greetings, folks. Greetings, folks.
Evening blessings and salutations to the LNE family.
What's going on, everybody?
Good night. Good night.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Evening blessings and salutations.
Of
Of course.
course.
That would
Of
happen.
course.
That's to be expected.
She wouldn't be Trina if it wasn't. I want to, because an hour and a half is really not going to be enough time for this discussion. I just want to let everybody know that we had hoped that there would be some additional men on the show tonight, but for various reasons, a couple of them were not able to join us tonight. But we will be having another show like this, probably a lot more in depth at a later date. And we will have some additional faces on with us. And so tonight we are being graced by Mr. Grantley Samuel. Louis is going to be joining us for part of the show. He might have to dip out early. We have Mr. Malik, who we all know in the group as Fusion Carlos. Kiki is here with me to help me get these questions to these gentlemen. And we also have, well, he's known on Facebook as Ranchi, but that's my cousin, Ryan. Representing St. Martin.
You said Ryan. Why she did that to
Welcome,
you?
Ryan. Welcome, Carlos. Welcome, Brantley.
For
It
everybody.
clearly says
in the
Ranchi
group.
on there. Clearly says Ranchi.
Sorry. For everybody who knows Nicole, this is
She put
Nicole's
your government
brother.
name out there.
Yeah, she just slipped it out.
I had to give you a government name. I'm sorry. So I think it was Saturday. Lucian did a post and it said, "Ladies, what would you really like to know about men? What's the one question you've been dying to ask?" And it was very, very interesting. I'm now our YouTube viewers to see the comments, but a lot of the questions that were posed were answered, and they were answered so eloquently by many of the men in the group, and I want to thank you for that. I know one of the big questions asking was, do men lie? I mean, it's really a people question, but that was one of the big questions all the women were asking. So to start tackling this, we're going to allow Mr. Malik to answer that question. Why do men lie and cheat?
Oh my goodness. Y'all gonna put me out there early.
Yeah,
Is it
Carlos,
early?
question, Carlos, so good luck with that
Y'all
too.
Oh, yes,
ball
sorry,
early
Fusion
tonight.
Carlos.
Y'all trying to throw the long ball early. Okay. First, let me say this. Everything that I say tonight is not from any clinical or any expertise. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I haven't spoke to every man in the world, let alone in the Virgin Islands. This is my perspective and my 51 years of experience. And so let me just say this. Why the question was, why do men cheat? I don't even remember what I said in the group, but I will say.
I remember.
This. You remember? I'm not going to
No.
ask you what I said.
Do you want to know what you said in the group, in the comment, what you wrote?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, but I think I said a couple of things in there.
Yeah, you did say a couple of things.
Let's do this. Let me do this. And then you can see if I'm true to my word.
Okay. Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Because I don't remember what I said. I think
Oh, good. So let's test
that
you
way
then.
can
Let's
say,
do
okay,
that.
you contradicted on line such and such in paragraph, but it breaks down to, in my opinion, it breaks down like this. Why do men cheat? The question, I think. To me, I think, first of all, people do things in a relationship because they want something. Okay, they build a relationship with anybody, whether it be a male and a female, a man and a woman relationship, an intimate relationship, or be friends relationship, or what have you. You build a relationship based off of what that other person brings to the relationship. So, for example, if we're just friends, if Grant and I were just friends, I like him. Our relationship grows stronger based off of what he brings to my life. He might be funny. He might be, you know, somebody that has money, and so I know I'm comfortable. Or he might have a nice house that I can hang out in, whatever. If we're in a, forgive me, my phone is blowing up. It might be in a situation where a man and woman is together, and the woman finds security in that man. She just feels secure. Maybe he's a 6'5" man, like Ronchi is, and she might be 5'2", big guy. You know, and she feels that I find security in him. He brings security to my life. I have money. I have this education. But he brings security to me. So bottom line is, in a relationship, I think that people to get together because that other person brings something to the relationship. Now, what happens, in my opinion, why do people cheat, is that there's something missing in that. There's something missing. I think that it really is not a matter of why do men cheat, because we're all human beings. And I think we'll get into an area where we'll talk about the difference between men and women, because clearly there is a difference between men and women. We'll talk about that. But women will see something in a man and say, okay, I'm happy with him. I'm good to go. I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to make it work. But there may be something missing in that relationship. Or a man can say, well, a woman does this for me, and she's beautiful, and she's this, and she's that, she takes care of me, but there might be something missing in that relationship. Eventually, you start to look for that, okay? Now, I'm not saying you start to look for, like, I want to go out and cheat. Some people do, but you're looking for, like, man, I need this in him, and it's not there, and it may grow or fester in that person's mind or in their feelings or their emotions. And then eventually somebody comes along and flashes something of what they are missing in their relationship. And eventually, and here again, it's up to that person. That person might not be mature. That person might not be disciplined. That person might not have developed enough strength within that relationship to say, I don't want to cheat. I'm not going to go down this road. And so eventually it opens the door. It might open a window. It might open a crack. And it's up to that person, the lacking of maturity or discipline or what have you, that might go that way. Now, here again, I don't think that men, it's a woman question. So I get it, but it's a human being question. And I think that's why people cheat. I think that's why people cheat, because they're missing and lacking something. Now, some people say, well, you're not in love if you cheated. That doesn't mean that person is not in love. That means that person is lacking in something. Now, here again, it's not to say that that other person, it's that other person's fault. Oh, it's your fault that that person cheated. No, I don't think it's that's the case. I just think that person that actually went and cheated was the weaker one in the relationship, the person that was lacking and couldn't express it or didn't express it, or even if they did express it, it never got resolved, or they never started working towards fixing it. And I think, here again, there's so many variables. We're going to talk about so many different things. There's so many different variables, like we talk in the group. But I think that if you didn't express it, if you didn't talk to your mate or whatever, your spouse or whoever you're seeing, you didn't express it and talk and work through it, give them the opportunity, then, I mean, that's even worse. But if you did and there's no fix, what happens? Do you say, all right, I'm out the door? Well, I'm sure they don't want that. So, and I don't want to get too far away from why people cheat. I think that's why. There's something lacking for that person to even want to desire to cheat. Unless they're just a cheating person, then that's what they do. Okay. I'm hoping that people kind of understand what I'm saying.
I think so. I know. I it's funny that question was asked, because of course, yes, the question was asking men, because I think sometimes we think that only, well, not we know better, but it's assumed that men cheat more so than a woman, but it happens both ways.
Let me ask
and
this,
I think at the end of the day, we have to get to the crux of why it happened. Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you is these men, if they're out there cheating, who they cheating with? Another woman, right? And so here again, normally, I don't, today's 2021.
There are some cases where it's not, though.
I was saying it's 2021.
Yeah.
But here again, we know there's more women than men on this planet, and majority of the people that are men, if they're cheating, are cheating with women. So believe it or not, that question can be posed back to the women as well. Why do you mess with a man who's in a relationship already? Maybe you don't know, but then eventually you're going to know something. Flip the coin. I'm just saying they're not cheating by themselves.
That's true.
And then you have a population of women that actually just accept that because of the fact that there's a shortage. That happens also. And then there's also the group of individuals who are I like to call them the poly folks. That's not even cheating. Some people look at that as cheating, but that's not. That's an acceptance of being in relationship with multiple partners. That's a whole different vibe.
Oh yeah, totally different discussion.
I don't even consider it as the fact that there's more women than men out there. To me, is like the type of man that's out there that women are looking for. Most women are looking for a particular type of guy, and there are not much of those around, so they end up borrowing another lady's man because they can't get their own because there's none, because their type is not around. You don't find that type of guy out there what women are looking for or read about in books and stories and stuff, what they grew up to believe is real. They don't have a lot of that going around. So yeah, eventually they just end up holding on to what they can hold on to, because yeah, you still gotta live, you still gotta eat, you still have to do your thing.
Oh God.
You said do your thing.
Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna have to find a way to get some of those responses onto YouTube. But
Wait, what did I say though? I mean, I can't remember. What did I say? Was it similar to what I said?
it was similar, but again, like you said, it was like a huge. He said, you said, let me get to it. Well, of course, the first question, well, we didn't get to that. Why do men lie? But again, it's kind of centered around, this is what I'll do. I'm not gonna talk about the cheating.
To avoid the consequences.
So many topics and so many questions to go over. So if anybody really wants to go back, I think you really did say it succinctly in the comments. But in terms of why does anyone lie, you said to avoid the consequences of the truth. Your answers will more than likely be situational and relationship driven. Some recipients of the lie can't handle the truth, refuse to accept the truth, or will respond negatively to the truth. This is not to say that the recipient of the lie deserves to be lied to. However, this is generally why anyone lies. So again, and again, this group is 80% women. So of course, these questions are going to be geared towards the men. But it is a human issue. You know, some people would say men are sloppier. And that's the reason why. That's the reason why.
I don't agree with that concept. I don't agree with the concept that men are sloppier.
But my thing is, though, I mean, you can't be sloppy all your life. At some point, you must learn.
That's true.
So who's the masters of the lie?
I think it's because y'all do it so frequently, y'all have mastered it. I mean,
we would never get caught if we mastered.
Well, not that y'all have mastered it. Sorry, the women do it so infrequently that the women have mastered it. The men do it so frequently that they get careless. That's what I meant to say. I'm always saying wrong things.
But you got to learn at some point, though. I mean,
well, some people don't learn.
Yes, how about that?
Some people don't learn. You know.
Exactly.
Say that again, Archie.
Learn what exactly? I mean, that's if they're in a
relationship. You gotta learn from your mistake. I mean, sorry, you go ahead. Let me respond to you when you said that.
Go ahead, Granchi.
Yeah, people get in relationships for the wrong reason sometimes too. So they might just be caught up in a loss when the female probably thinking it's a whole lot relationship when the guy just wanted a fun night or just somebody to walk around with. Conversation is needed. in the beginning of a relationship. You need to have a conversation on what
It's
you
not
want.
just conversation, Ranchi. It's honesty. Because
It's
you don't
honestly-
have.
Yeah, but at the same time, you might want a long-term relationship. I might tell you I don't want that. I just want to be free for now. But because we spend so much time together, you might feel like, okay, we actually get into a relationship now, where it's not so, and I still gonna be out there doing my thing. Not
So,
saying
so,
it's
so
right.
that conversation needed to be had all the
Yeah, yes,
and
I want to have a conversation.
I agree with that. I've
You have to
been
hurry up.
singing
You have
that
a
from day one.
conversation.
3
Is
months
the
later, you have
convers-
another conversation, and you go for it like that.
It's the
But-
conversation, but it's the honesty, I think.
Right.
I think there is always this gap in between. Okay, it might be as simple as you may not want to hurt the person's feelings, or you may be tagging the person along because you like them and you don't want to let them go. You don't want somebody else to have them. But again, do we actually say these things? Do we actually come right out and say, okay, I don't want you with somebody else. I want you, but I can't be with you. It's honesty.
But
Can-
like Ranchi
can
said,
men do
though,
that?
like Ranchi said, you start out and you let them know, listen, I'm not about, I don't want to be in a relationship. I like you, want to spend time with you, I enjoy that. But it's until you see that woman with another man, that
There you go.
then is when it starts to
Then the
hit you.
man wakes up. Mm-hmm.
Then it starts to hit
that's
you like,
it.
wait. Then we decide to get a little bit more possessive, and we want to, understand? We want to label things now. We want to hone down, and we want to show ownership. What happened? I thought, you were chilling. How come you do with this next cat? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
but
of course,
but
she's gonna
again-
come back. Go ahead.
But again, and there's different scenarios. But again, at the end of the day, why does the cheating occur? And I'm in full agreement, especially after we had our conversation last night. I'm in full agreement with Malik. There's something that somebody's yearning that is they're not even receiving, even subconsciously. And so a lot of times it's not necessarily that the intent was to go out to cheat, but the situation availed itself to it,
Well,
and then it happened. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
You have
If I
access.
can-
It's a wow factor. I mean, people do it for those reasons. It's because they could.
Right.
There you go. I wanted to add that because I think I left that out. I can't say that that's like 100% why men cheat. Because like Louis said, it's some people just, that's what they want to do. I got to keep moving around. Regardless of what I said, I'm living this way. I got to keep it moving. I got an ADD of relationship or something. Some people are like that. But we can't neglect that aspect of people. And here again, it's not just men, it's women too, but men are dominating type creatures. I think we kind of touched Bobby, who's not here tonight. We touched on that in another conversation, in that men, I think the word was, he said men are warriors.
Mhm.
Actually alpha males. We're the lions in society. And there's a whole bunch of lions out there, but there's a whole bunch of lionesses more than there are lions. And so there's some people out there that just have the need to dominate. Now here again, I'm an older cat. And so I can see that, but as younger folks, it might be a different perspective. It might be, like, I'm early 50s. I just broke 50, 51 last month. So I don't want people to be confused.
Congratulations, brother. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm in the club.
Welcome aboard.
But there's younger males. If my younger self was sitting on this panel, he might say, "Listen, old dude, be quiet. This is what I'm doing."
Right.
So I might be confused at me at being 51 saying this, because there are people out there that need to move around to find. I'm gonna keep going until I find something that sits me down. You know what I mean? So there are different kinds of people.
You still have cats our age still doing that?
Yeah, you're right. You're
Listen,
right. That's the old dude is back in the truth.
One of
I had an uncle-
the
I had an uncle-
comments, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but they said this person said, he said, there is no one single reason. Welcome to the show. There is no one single reason to why people cheat. They cheat for
Exactly.
various reasons. There are people who simply do not believe in monogamy. They cheat for that reason. There are people who ain't happy. They cheat for that reason. There's like a gazillion and one reasons why people cheat.
But here again,
I
if
think
they're not
what you
happy,
said
they're
last
missing
night-
something. It goes back to that. Think about it. They're not in the monogamy. Why? Let's get to the root of it now. Why are you not into it? Because you're missing something. You're constantly looking for something. I don't know if
That's missing.
But that's what you said last night.
If anybody remembers
I have the answer. I have the answer.
Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, where he
What
was the
you said
ultimate
last
man.
night hit it to me, Carlos, because you said there was a need to be satisfied. Whatever that
Yes.
need is, for us to not judge that need, to decide what that need is, there is something yearning, whether the person is secure, insecure, whatever the reason is, there is something to be satisfied. There is a desire or need to be satisfied. I think that's the best way to.
Let me just say this.
Exactly.
I was told this at a very young age. I don't know if I should. I don't know if that matters, but let me just say this. I was told a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Sometimes he do. Sometimes he don't
A
end up
rolling
with.
stone gathers no moss. You keep it moving.
And that's a young man's perspective.
That's a young man's perspective. That's why I said. That's why I prefaced by saying I was told at an early age. This is one of my uncles years ago. I was a kid. I was young. Rolling stone gathers no moss. And this we could go into a different conversation, huh?
Or Papa was a Rolling Stone.
There you go.
Like the song said.
Yeah.
You know, and we accept
That's a separate conversation altogether, though.
Okay, let me, because time is going. I wanted to, Ryan, actually, I'm going to ask you this question because this was something that someone asked also. And was answered.
You gotta read some comments.
I will, but give me 1 second. Why do men avoid commitment as much as they do?
Your sister said that, Nicole, Ranchi, so you answer.
She said that, but also Pauline Lazima asked that question. It was answered, but I want to hear Ryan.
What was the question again?
Why do men avoid commitment?
As much as they do.
I don't even find men avoid commitment. I think it's just a time that we live in now. I more feel it's the times that we live in now, whereas commitment ain't a thing. People don't try and be committed to somebody for too long because it ain't fun, it ain't nice, it ain't cool. Because every relationship starts good. You have that lust, you have that buzz, you know, you get a feeling. And after a year or two pass, it dies off. You become roommates, you become friends, you become regular folk that you can give a high five to in the morning and, yo, see you, I can talk to you later.
Or sometimes you don't even get a high five.
Yeah, people like that feeling now. People like that feeling, that lust, that burst of emotion. So if they ain't getting that, they're gonna look for it again. They're gonna keep searching because that's all they want. People nowadays don't really look for that commitment. And it all depends on the person too. What you looking for? If you pick up a guy, ask some questions. How was your last few relationships looking?
Ranchi, let me ask you this. So
sure.
Do you think that people get to a situation where it becomes like we've done what we're gonna do, and they're both waiting for something to take them to the next level? The woman here, again, hypothetical, the woman could be waiting like, okay, you know, maybe he gonna ask me to marry me because my girlfriend just got married or we just went to a wedding. Maybe, or she's waiting for the man, her man to change, or, you know, or opposite. The man is waiting for his woman to be like the woman he wants. I mean, both of them are confused and they're concerned about committing. Like, do I give him what I should be giving a man, even though I'm not happy with him 100%? Like, everybody's afraid to take that next step because that person they're with is not who they expected them to be, or who they're not who they want to be with. Could that be part of it too?
That
because we're talking about commitment.
Yeah, we're talking about commitment here. That possibly plays a role, but that still leads on to conversation. You have to have a conversation with the person. You have to know before you even get that far into the relationship. Are you two personalities? If you guys match, at the end of the day, we have to match. Our energies have to be able to, combine, hold together. Nowadays, you don't find that. They butt against each other like rocks. They don't grasp each other like vines.
So is it? So can we say that's a society issue, or is that
That's a society issue.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna say, or is it the couple's issue?
Because
Society issue.
you go based off of what you see. You see your friend got married, but you don't know the real intent of the relationship.
There you go.
You don't know if they're happy, if they've been cheating, if they've been having arguments every night before they go to bed, but yet they got married. It looks
They got
good.
married.
It looks good, but that doesn't mean that the relationship is healthy. I prefer people to focus on their relationship. Grow your bond. Don't look at your friend, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your aunt.
There you go.
Exactly.
Focus on you and your partner. Focus on
Right,
you. If you want
right,
something
right,
else,
right. Don't follow your influences. Be your own person. Don't follow your influences. Just make your own decisions and be your own person and learn from your own mistakes. Build together. Build together and become balanced together.
You
That's
grow
what it's
together.
all about.
That's a goal. When you get in a relationship, that's a goal for you to grow together.
And to
If you're
continue
looking
to
for that
grow.
long term, if you're looking for that relationship to take you to the end of life on that rocking chair on the porch with the grandkids running around in front yard.
That should be you would think that would be the ultimate goal.
But I want to say this. That may not. I like Ranchi's approach to relationships. I hope one day in life I meet a Ranchi, because I guess you're just always honest. In my life, I've not had the most fortunate, honest people that comes right out of they want. They tell you what you want to hear, so they can get what they want from you. So so you always say how you and Louis always say have the conversation, and I'm like, oh God, this conversation, like I can't do it. I really can't, because I'm hoping for honesty, and I don't think that honesty is always the first thing presented, right? So that's the first thing I want to say.
Well, Pinky, let me ask this, because it goes back to what Deb referred to earlier at the beginning of the show when y'all put me on the spot early. The question was about honesty. Why do y'all lie? Talking about us men. My response was because the liar is trying to avoid the consequences of the lie. So let me ask you this.
Exactly.
But you say you often deal with, not to put you on the spot because we're talking about us men, but if you're dealing with men that tend to lie to you, you get dishonest people or dishonest answers in your relationship, then what is that saying about the men that you might have been seeing? And if that's the case, then identify what you were dating with and avoid that.
That's right, but that was years ago. So that was 20, 30 years ago. So I mean, I don't want to date myself, but the guys that I've met lately are very honest. I would say that, but I'm just saying, coming from a relationship with a lot of dishonesty, that conversation, like, I'm like, oh God, these conversations, like, they don't always go the way we want them to go, right? Because people are not always honest.
Right.
But,
so do you think every conversation you engage in will come forward with being dishonest up front? Is that your perception?
Look, I must have got PTSD. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe that's why it's
because it's sounding like you're thinking that everybody that come to you step forward to you and say, look, I want a reason. This is how things are going to go.
I guess my thing is just a trust issue. It's a trust issue, right? I got a trust issue.
I think we all do to a certain level.
Everyone has a trust issue in the beginning. Everyone has a trust issue in the beginning, but you got to have that element of maybe or chance or hope at some point to maybe this is something that can work. You got to try.
Right. You have to try. But my thing is, I don't know. I like to see things. I like to observe things from the side, and that's just my way of seeing if you could trust people. I mean, I'm not even like that with just guys.
You stay on the side. If you stay on the side, you're gonna get passed by.
Let me ask a question. One of the things that, and it might have been a question that I saw, but I can't remember. And even in terms of the commitment issue, I kind of also want Ryan to tackle the whole women waiting. You know, women feel like they have to wait for sex. But my question is, do you think that part of some of these things are contributed to the fact that women kind of, and again, we're overgeneralizing. Women kind of rush into relationships where men seem to take their time for various reasons.
2021.
People take their time.
Not in
Did I-
2021.
Okay, so what happens in 2020? What have you observed now?
No one rushes into anything.
And let me say something before Ranchi, hold the thought. Don't forget it. I want to complete my thought. What I was saying before was we enter in relationships in the beginning, right? They unfold eventually. Ranchi, you were saying earlier, we have the conversation. Sometimes in the conversation in the beginning, no, you don't want the porch. You don't want the grandkids. That don't mean it won't unfold eventually. And so
True.
that's what I was saying. Like relationships, sometimes we don't even know what we're entering into. Sometimes we don't even know why. Maybe it's just because you're lonely. Maybe it's because, you know, there is different factors is all I'm saying. So the commitment, we were talking about commitment. So I'm just saying that whole thing with approaching commitment, sometimes the answer is not there. So yes, you do have to revisit to reface the relationship. You know what I'm saying?
But you must try at some point, though. You have to try. You got to make the effort. You can't just go in thinking negatively all the time. Then you're setting up yourself to fail.
But at the same time, your actions going to show. Your actions in a relationship going to show if you want that, yes or no.
Right.
So when you say have the conversation, it don't mean that we're going to speak today and everything that we talk about, that's what it is.
No. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I know a girl who was with a guy for 7 years and they're young. 7 years she's been with him. She wants a commitment. She wants marriage. She keeps saying it. I mean, I know women who have been in a relationship long-term, 30 years, long-term. But when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking about my experience. I'm speaking about the experiences of the people that's around me that I've heard. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, 7 years in a relationship. She's a young lady. She was dating him from the time she was in her late 20s. Now she's in her late 30s and, you know, still no commitment. So that's...
But what's the reason he doesn't want to get married?
What was the reason why she wants to get married?
No, he. Why doesn't he want to get married? It doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't want the commitment or he doesn't want to get married. Maybe he's waiting for certain aspects of his life to be in place. Everybody have a different view to it. You might want to get married and say, don't worry, babe, we're going to grow. We're going to get the house afterwards. We're going to do this afterwards. Maybe he's want to be that guy, you know, that maybe probably is not in a financial position to say, you know, he could carry his family. Like we said, men are alphas. Men, you need that security for yourself to know if you could carry your family with you. And if you're stable enough to carry your family, I want to get married with you, get married to you, and then it's like, shit, I got my family in a hole.
Yeah.
So at the same time, you got every relationship different, that talk of commitment and marriage different towards every relationship. Everybody own different.
But
so
that's why I was asking a question for the women who asked about the commitment. That's why I was asking.
Well, let me ask this question though, Ranchi and Pinky. And I've seen that too. I've seen people that have been together for years. I mean, we as people of color, black folks, brown folks, we tend to get together and not all of us, the majority of us get married. We just do the thing and if it don't work, we divorce, we go about our business. Or they cheat or whatever. But there's some of us that get in these relationships and we'll stay in them for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30
years, 25 years.
Kids, bought a house, got careers, you know, I mean, know the grandparents and the to everybody in the family, they married, but they're not married. So that's another commitment issue there too. So we can't say at a certain point, I mean, 7 years, at what point do you say, you know what, I don't want to marry? But then again, there's some people that don't believe in just the idea of telling the courts that we're together. Some of us don't believe in that. Some of us say, listen, we together and it is what it is. We don't need to get legally married and we together. We bind it and we're bonded and we're together. So we should probably mix
They won't
commitment
pay
to
those taxes.
right. You know, right. You
Well,
married-
Ranchi, I didn't hear you, Ranchi.
You file a married but separate. What you filing, right? Because the law gonna tell us to do what we're supposed to do. So, Pinky, I hear you. Ranchi, I hear you. It's really about that couple that you was mentioning, the couple that was together for 7 years or 30 years. What are they saying to each other though? Are they saying we gonna get married later when you get this fixed or when you turn into the man I want you to be? Or are they saying, you know what? Marriage is not important. We're together, baby. Don't worry about it.
The women, couple of the people I know, the women were interested in marriage. And this is a phenomenon we see.
But wait,
What are they saying?
let me ask a question. That's true, but at the end of the day, kind of what I want is I want to hear more of them talking instead of us.
Right. And so I get it and I hear you. And so forgive me because I'm asking questions, but I'm trying to too. I feel like I'm not an expert. I'm learning. Right. So I just talking about from what I've seen. And Ranchi hit it, he nailed it. In society, folks is gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna do what they want to do.
Let me put this out there. My other cousin is saying, why is being married a commitment issue? If there's a couple that have been together for 20 plus years and it works for them, what's wrong with that?
Exactly.
Communication.
Why does marriage have to be a thing?
It doesn't
to
have
some people,
to be.
It doesn't matter. To some people, have to. Who's to say the man got to tell me that I got to go get a license and go to a ceremony?
It doesn't have to.
And Nicole said some people get married for a show.
But traditionally, a lot of women feel that we must do that. I need that Beyonce ring. I need to put the ring on it. I got to go through this process.
I don't think commitment means marriage. I don't think commitment means marriage.
Granny,
no, it doesn't. But the world says it. The tradition, our society says that.
The world is portraying that
if he's not married,
and, the big lavish weddings and all. So everybody wants a piece of that to see what it's like.
The fairy tale wedding everyone wants. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to get into the depth.
That's what women as little girls, when they were growing up and they're seeing this and they're told this, so they've been instilled again these societal pressures, from a very young age. This is what's happening. So now, yes, they want that. They're seeing their friends with it. Everybody wants to be a part of that. But ain't nothing wrong with it if you don't have it. There's nothing wrong if you don't have the big bells and the whistles and the hoopla. Just keep life simple.
Do something.
Well, here's another thing.
Are those women able to say, okay, no problem, let's get married. Just walk into the census, sign the document or the courthouse or whatever, and walk up, we married? Or do you need to have the whole big show, shebang?
But there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with that either. People want that.
Yeah, some people want it,
and
most don't.
if you're committed to your lady and you want to give her that, you want to give her the best, you're gonna do that as a man for your lady.
Yes, you are. Yes,
you understand? If this woman is everything to you, and you've made this commitment and made this promise and this step, you're gonna make sure not only that it's grand for her, but it's grand for both of you as a unit.
Now, with Louis about the marriage, we got to be very careful, because I'll say this. Oftentimes, and forgive me for doing this, matter of fact, I'm not even gonna apologize for it, because we talk to Black people and we talking to brown people, and if we're not, folks listen, you're gonna learn something. But we people of color, I'm saying, we people of color try to do things way. We can extend ourselves, but sometimes we go way above our means, because nowadays, just like inflation, a fantasy. Because Louis said it.
That's a fact.
Fantasy wedding. This is my lady might say, "Listen, I want this, and I want this, and this, and I love this woman, so I'm gonna give her this." That might be part of the commitment part too. Like, I can't give her that. I feel less of a man if I can't, so I can't marry her right now. But has anybody priced a wedding lately? A deep, nice wedding, 30, 40, 50 grand. 30, 40, 50 grand can be investments, a house, child and
You're right.
That's
You're right.
what?
Yes,
So,
yes.
so, but my woman wants this. So I can't marry her right now. So that might bleed into our commitment issue. Because my woman wants this and I love her and I want to give her what she deserves. Why don't you marry me yet? And he's afraid to tell her. I can't give it to you right now because I'm working over here. You know what I mean?
Of course, your decision and her decision of what she deserves could be two different things. Going back to Ranchi and having that conversation. You know what I mean? Let's plan this out.
Yeah.
You see?
True. Okay, wait. We're gonna segue from there. Because Grantley, you staying quiet, and we know you're not quiet. I want to ask you this question. You don't have a daughter, but if you had a daughter, or a sister, what would you tell them about men, or her about men? What would you want her to know about men in general?
Well, one of the first things, right? I had to tell females to be patient. A lot of females kind of watch their friends and want to be like their friends, and every relationship different. If you take your time, do some of the things that you want to do, get a career, do schooling, do some of the crazy stuff that you can't do in a relationship before you want to settle down, there is things to do. When you settle down 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, you throw a whole lot of life, a whole lot of experiences that you should have, Then you get into a relationship 25, 30 years down the road and it's like, all is lost. You did not experience what you should have when you was young, So I just tell them, be patient. Seek the Father, and the Father gonna put somebody in their life at the right time.
Okay. And
I'm so happy, Deb and Grantley, that you asked that question because my daughter was in the room. She was just, I don't know if you saw me looking to the left. And don't go anywhere. I want you to hear it. She's just off camera. I'm near the kitchen.
How old is she? How old is she?
She will be 18 on the 12th. And I have an older daughter as well. And Grantley, thank you for saying that. It just was right at the perfect time. She got to hear that. But I remember hearing that question that might come up tonight, and I want to share it as well because I want to say it because my daughter's here and allows me to say it. So I'm saying it. So listen to what I'm saying because she's she's gonna be a official woman in a few days. So as a father, it's like wow. But if I may answer the question from me, and I appreciate what Grantley said. What he said was very important. And there's a lot of things a man could say to a daughter if he had one or if he has one. Or sometimes it's just too late because they're so much older. But I want to say this is that if I could tell my daughter something, and she's right there, I would tell a young lady, even if it's not my daughter.
Right.
In today's society, you don't have to have a man to validate who you are as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Some women are chasing after validation from their friends or what society says a young lady should be doing at their age, or from more so a man. And they do a lot of things. We men do it too, but you don't need us, the man, to validate who you are as a woman, especially as a Black woman or a brown woman. You can be strong on your own. Yes, you will need a man eventually, but you don't need a man right now, or you don't need a man to get to the next level. And don't forget that. Now, don't forget that, yes, you should be with a man or you should get with the right man. And that's a whole nother thing. But stand strong and go as long as you can go, as far as you want to go without one. Now there's going to be some points where you're going to need.
But
one.
let me chime in. Let me chime in for a minute, because you said that eventually they will need a man, and I think what you meant by that, or what I believe you meant by that, is necessarily for companionship, because it's not like they need a man, because you just said that they can go as far as they want as an individual. But companionship could probably be the only thing that they would need a man for.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what I mean. You're going to,
and I agree with you.
You know, you're going to need a man, because a woman can do anything that a man can do, period.
Exactly.
Period. But for companionship. Now, here again, I got to say this and I'm going to shut up on this topic. Because we are in 2021 and we must give respect to those individuals that may be in a LGBTQ, whatever relationship. And you do what you do. And so if you take offense to me saying that you're going to need a man, bottom line is what I'm saying is you're going to need a companion, like Louis said, period. Right. I'm talking my daughter, who I believe in this situation, she would probably prefer a man. I don't know for sure.
Likewise for my daughter.
You know, but I don't know for sure. And I respect whatever she decides to do.
Right.
But I'm gonna say what I gotta say.
Yeah.
And so,
as a father, you should.
Exactly. Now, if I'm stepping on some toes, and it is what it is, and we'll have that discussion privately. But here again, we want what we want for our children. That doesn't mean we're gonna get what we want. But I want her to understand, I want all women to understand that you don't need another person to validate who you are. And you should not go and spend any moments in your life depressed or downtrodden or held up or paused because you're worried about somebody validating you. I think I said enough, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But I just wanted to say that because it was perfect timing, and I love what Brantley said. And my daughter happened to be in here at the beginning of the conversation, so I had to say it. Thank you.
Excellent.
That was actually well said, and both of you. I mean, that really makes a lot of sense, and I agree with what both of you were saying for sure. I was listening. I wasn't on, but I was listening. I was doing something. I had somebody here. Yeah, that's
so
dope.
Now I have sort of another question. My question to you, Raunchy, what and to you, Louis, and it will be to everybody else too. What would you say to your son about women?
I go answer because I have just really quick. It's very short. I say this, and I've probably said this on the show. I don't know if y'all heard me say this before, but there are a few things that I tell my sons all the time. And the first thing is always to respect women, treat women with respect. Don't ever put your hand on a woman. And always remember that you have women in your life. That's your mothers, your grandmothers, your sisters, and things like that. I always tell them that, and they know that. Treat women with respect. Don't ever put your hand on a woman. That's just the one thing that I put out there.
Totally agree.
From a very young age. I mean, but there's so much more.
Right.
It's said. Don't get me wrong, but that's instilled in them. You go ask them. You see them in the street. You ask them, "What if I said a woman?" They'll tell you.
That's 100%. That's 100%.
I totally
you know,
agree.
as young men, right? Because Louis, you know how we grew up. We like to put notch and belt and all these kind of things growing up. Peer pressure is a boss for young men.
Yes.
A lot of them the fall short, big time.
Yes.
Many of us did. You know, so
yeah.
It's rough.
And we live in such a different time, Grantley. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
When we were growing up, life was way more simpler.
Listen,
you know, remember this is a .com era, huh?
People have a lot more morals then.
Exactly, and accessibility is far more greater than it was before. Again, we're in the .com era, so information, they're exposed to information that may have taken us a little longer to be a part of, but they have it there at the tip of the fingers.
Yep.
So that's important to decipher, the type of information that you would want, not just your sons, but your daughters as well to have access to. And when in fact that they are exposed to these, this information, you gotta sit them down and like, listen, let's have a conversation, because you don't want to shut them out. Because if they ain't getting it when you're there, know that when they're out, they're gonna get it from somebody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
So be open with these children, man. Be open with them.
Now I'm amongst my brothers, and we got 2 sisters on the call, and however many people are watching. I almost forgot that people were watching this because I feel like last night and nobody watched it. It was just us, and we had a deep conversation. But I want to direct this to I feel like I'm taking Deb and Pinky out.
That's okay.
Y'all just not even on the screen. You're not here, and all the ladies are not here. You can observe. But fellas, let's talk about this one here, because it boggles my mind. We Ronchi, you're not up there with us. He probably like, I know. But we up there. We up there.
Tell him you'll get there. You ain't in no hurry.
Out there. But put it this way, I have witnessed a half of a century. I don't feel old, but I witnessed half a century, and I got the experience behind it. But let's bring it down to just the Virgin Islands. I think we owe it to our sisters and the ladies that are watching or listening or whatever. Everywhere I look, the Virgin Islands is doing a great job of at least advertising that we are disrespecting our women. Whether it be sexual assault or physical assault. I'm not talking about the cheating. That's between that couple. But the physical assault and the domestic assault is rampant. Every time I go online, open a paper, whatever, there's so-and-so raped or what do you call it? Non-consensual rape or minor rape, or there's all kind of rape. And then you got violence, people smacking, stabbing, shooting up their lady. From that era where we didn't do that, and it was taboo, it was shunned, you go to jail, we gonna handle you when you get here, type of thing. But it seems like it's our age group that are doing it. If you open up the VI Consortium or the Daily News or whatever, where are we going wrong? And how do we fix it before we can, not before, how do we fix it so that we can stop it? Because our youth, our young men that we feel so strongly about, we want to reach back and talk to them. How do we stop it, or at least send the message that it's not right, so that yes, my age group might be doing it, but you shouldn't be doing it. Like, how do we bring it to an end? Because the VI is trying. You go to the theater and they got this little commercial. Okay, cute, start the movie. You got this advertisement on the computer. Okay, cool, I'm gonna scroll. But how do we stop it? Where be a good starting point as men to fix that? Because I think a lot of women think that we devalue them when they see that happening. It might not be happening to them, but their girlfriends or somebody they know, or they see it in the paper. And they look, these men don't care about us. And so then they respond a different way too. Where do we start? Because I'm baffled. I don't know where to start. Besides us being who we are. We're not womenizers. We don't smack some women up and abuse women or rape women. We aren't. Otherwise, we wouldn't be logged in tonight. But
you're right.
Are. Where could we start?
That's a very good question.
And that's something we may not have answers tonight. I just want to throw it out there because if somebody had an answer, but because, and I'm not trying to say because I'll make myself feel better because I'm stumped too. All I can do that I think right now off the top of my head is I don't do it, and I'm gonna make sure I don't do it. And if I see it, I'm gonna get involved. But how do we go beyond that?
Right.
I don't have the answers, and I'm the female. So I have 2 sons and 2 daughters. I raise my sons the same way I raise my daughters. I teach my sons that they will one day be somebody's husband, and I teach my daughters they will someday be somebody's wife. They will be fathers and they will be mothers one day. I treat my sons' girlfriends as if they're my daughters, and I treat my girls who has not actually been dating, but if they do, and my oldest daughter, she just started dating. She's like 27, I think. I don't know. She just started dating. So I did not rush them. They did not rush. And I didn't tell them, don't get into relationships. But I think the problem is where we start and what we tell them in our household and the examples we set within the household. I think that's the only place we can actually start. I don't think. Go ahead, Louis.
I was just going to say, you know, it clearly starts in the home. As cliche as that may sound, we've been saying that for many years. We've been preaching that it starts at the home, but then a lot of these homes sometimes are also broken, and they're seeing they're getting other messages as well.
Exactly, and that's why
it starts in the home. It starts in the home to project positivity, but know that what you're getting is something totally different. That's why they're acting out now.
Too much.
Yeah, because the old teaching was don't do as I do, do as I say. And now we know that crap don't work. It's do as I do. But the thing is, we've had a broken society because I know we don't want to blame ourselves, but we are a part of the brokenness that we see within our children.
Definitely.
We are a part of it, whether we want to admit it or not. And at the end of it, we all have to know that we're talking about the commitments and all of that. You know, it starts within the commitment within the family. And the commitment don't have to mean marriage. It just means respecting, loving, being kind and honest to the person that's in front of you. If that person is not for you, then you let them go. But these tug of wars, these fights, it all stems from some part of a brokenness somewhere within this person's life. That's where it started.
Go ahead, Ranji.
Yeah, I would say though also is the correct the broken homes, but then also young men are being led on by too many father figures.
Say that again, Ranji.
Too much of men getting access to many other boys to influence them in the wrong things. Yes, you have a father, but you and your father never grew up together. So you have this other guy, that you just listen to from time to time, and you see he just slap wrong girl. And like that's the right thing to do, but your father never do that. I don't know why. The times change up. It is a funny ticklish thing. I don't know why fellas feel nowadays that to prove themselves that there's man there, they have to put their hand on a woman.
That's a boyish move if you ask me.
Yeah, I grew up with my parents, and it was like never put your hand on a woman. Keep your hands to yourself. Right. If you have a disagreement, walk away. Cool off, come back and have that discussion, have a talk about it. You didn't like this, you didn't like that. Don't speak to me this way. I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. But that fighting thing, I don't know where that come from, but that was really blown up in the recent years.
I don't even argue, brother. That's one thing. I don't even argue.
Yeah, me neither. I don't argue. I ain't screaming, I ain't bawling.
No.
Ain't doing that with you. If you decide to carry your voice a little too high, I might just watch you in my head on the side like like hi.
But let me add a twist to this. Let me add a twist to this though. Let me add a little something interesting to this. What if now you are having the conversation and you definitely there's clearly a discrepancy or there's some argument, and now the woman puts the hand on you.
And that has happened.
Oh, Louis, let me say this.
You walk away.
That's the other side of the coin.
It's called being a bigger man.
Well, it does, but let me say this, because that's the flip side of the coin. I was trying to keep it just on us, the men. We discussed this last night. The brother that's not with us, Bobby, he's not with us tonight, but he talked about that. And I don't want to get ahead of the game. I don't want to put the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse, whatever they say. But there's a flip side to the coin. Women, and I throw daggers, ladies, if you want. Women need to learn. Now, if you already know, then it's fine. Don't be mad at me if you know. But women also need to know that there's certain buttons you don't push with men. We're for the most part, we're like Bobby said, we're warriors, we're alpha males, or we have an ego that might be too big for us. And men are very prideful people. We are by nature. Mm-hmm. That's all we got. Especially as people, and here again, of color. As men of color, we ain't got but so much pride. And when a woman has that, and a woman will always have the upper hand on a man. Always. A woman will always have the upper hand on a man. I don't care how great the man think he is, how great he thinks he can lay it down in the bed, whatever money. I got all these women, they waiting for me right now, don't mess up. But I don't care what you think you got. Women will always have the upper hand. But women got to understand that and then use that very wisely. Because eventually you can tear a man down for one. But when I want to go back to Louis, what Louis said on the other side of the coin is that women can also create an environment to where they can become the abuser. I was in the military. I had one of my Marines, big guy, bigger than me, big guy, was huge. He was just a big guy, worked out in the gym and the whole nine. And he would have these bruises. And to find out, long story short, his wife used to beat him. He was the gentle giant, and she would beat him like he caught her on film beating him, and that's how we found out. And I thought it was the weirdest thing because his wife would abuse him. Years later, my brother was killed by a woman who he walked away from. She was the abuser and ran off at the mouth, blah, 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 blah. He walked away eventually and killed him, period. Stabbed him repeatedly in the back in front of everybody, many people. Long story short, it can happen. And so we need to think about those things as well. Just as men can be a certain way, women can be the antagonizer.
Exactly.
And we as men can be the enabler because we want to see women like to bash us men. You this, you that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not attacking women. I'm just saying the facts. That at times women can not understand there's different ways you should approach or speak to a man. Definitely communicate. But we need to think about how we communicate, men and women. We need to think about how we communicate with that person. We're in a relationship to the point where we can argue like that. That means we know each other. Most people don't argue at the beginning of a relationship. We don't. If you do, you're trying to be on your best behavior at the beginning. So if you're arguing later in a relationship, that means you know each other. That means you know what buttons to push or not push.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so Louis touched on one right there because we got to think about both sides of that coin.
I would say
going back to what Monty said is communication.
I would say avoid a relationship will get help because if she did it once, you could like look past it. But if it's a constant something, that person aims for you. Because that person will draw a negative character out of you.
Even the first time, it is not justified, and both ends, men and women.
The first time is for me. The first time for me is if you do it once, you're gonna do it again. Once you get away with it, that's how I see it. But at the same time,
and some people just
if it's a continuous thing that she feels the need to belittle you or put you down or hit you and stuff like that, you need to get away from that person.
Oh yeah.
Your friends might turn around and say, "Boy, you weak, boy, you have to slap that, you have to throw that down, boy, you have to do something." For you as a man, big man, you have to move away. Just leave her alone, dip.
My son is about.
No matter
my
what.
son is about.
How old is he?
I was going to say that use the man.
Now,
how that little girl gonna beat you up? How that little girl could pong on you? They're gonna lock you, they're gonna arrest you. Although you had yours of getting licked. Leave that situation alone.
I agree. My son was
nobody put your life.
He was 20. I think my son was 23 or 24. He was in a relationship with a girl who was cheating on him. And he was 24. He's about 6'1", close to 200 pounds. He's a big guy. And she was cheating on him and she wanted him back and he moved on. And she hit him in front of everybody and he didn't hit her. And I was like, son, you can't have a woman hitting on you. You know, you have to, I told him, I said, hold her hand. Until he said, me holding her hand could get me in a lot of trouble. And everybody saw this happening. I spoke to her, like I said, I talked to my sons, girls, I talk to everybody the same way. I don't treat you better because you're my son. And again, I think these things, you know, we're talking about relationships, and I think everything is a relationship. If we could get to understand that everything starts with a relationship. Y'all were saying you tell your daughters to wait, blah, blah, blah. I don't tell my daughters to wait. I tell my daughters to get into relationships because they need the experience of relationships. They need to get into relationships. They need to know how to deal with males. They need to know how to talk to them. I don't tell them to avoid relationships. When I avoided relationship, that's because I was going through something and I needed healing, because I was one of those very angry women and I would put my hand on somebody if they touch me. So I knew I needed some healing. So I needed to walk away. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth, because just like we say, I mean, there are men who do push your buttons, and they do say things and they do provoke you. And some of them will even put their hands on you. And I'm telling you, if they put their hands on me, I just call the cops. I just got to the point where I'm calling the police. I'm done. I'm not going to hit nobody, and nobody ain't putting their hands on me. I'm calling the police. You will go into jail. So I had to call the police twice, and I did it. So what I'm saying is, and with my sons, I talk to them and I tell them, you treat women with love and respect at all times. If you and them don't get along, you walk away from the relationship. If the same thing with the woman, it's the same thing. It doesn't change. It doesn't change because he's a man. It doesn't change because he's a woman. We have to be in relationships. We have to learn to talk to people. We have to learn to be honest. If the relationship is not working the way you want it to work, we have to let them go. We have to know that there is another relationship out there. This is what I say because it all starts with us, the parents, the adults in these young people's lives. It all starts there. We have to talk to them. We have to teach them, because my mother told me, because she was one, she slapped my dad. And my dad was like, when I got married, my dad told my husband, don't let her hit you, because her mother would put her hand on me. And my dad told that to my mom, to my husband. And I was like, but you betrayed me. I'm your child. But again, he did not treat me as if I was his child different. He treated me as a woman to a man. There is, you know what I mean? Because we'll say, well, that's my daughter. She can do it if she wants. And my mom said to me, and my sisters, do not put your hand on no man, because she knew that she had an anger where she would do the same. And that's how she raised us. And all my sisters will say the same thing. Do not put your hand on a man. That's how we was raised. But my brother was taught the same thing. Don't put your hand on a woman. We can't say women is the same thing. Women, you treat yourself with respect. There's no cheating. Men, the same thing. It's the same thing.
My brother was taught the same.
But that anger comes from somewhere, though. That anger comes from somewhere. So that person needs to speak what that is. That anger coming from somewhere. That anger ain't just building up just randomly. You just get upset in your one cause. That anger coming from somewhere. So somewhere behind you dragging this anchor behind you.
Amen.
That's gotta pick that up.
That's
we gotta pick it up. If you want to continue being in a relationship, you gotta pick up that anchor. So if you gotta find it.
And this is the thing, Ron.
Ultimately, you don't want nobody putting them paws on you, so you gotta be.
This is the thing, Ranchi, and I always say this. We have to become very aware of our actions and how we show up in the world and how we affect people. You could be an angry person. I don't know what you was raised. Maybe you were. We heard a story about a woman who was gang raped by 12 people. Who are we to decide what makes a person angry? Or a woman who was abused by her husband, a woman who was locked in her closet, or a man who was abused by his wife. Who are we to decide what creates this anger in people? But the thing is that we have to show up with is love, compassion, and understanding for other people, because we don't know. But as an angry person, you have to say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm an angry woman, because when he put his hand on me, or when he choked me, I've heard a woman say, I ain't playing them S&M games, because once a man try to hit me in S&M, I'm gonna hit him back. Because
let me ask you a question. I want to ask a question really quick. So, at what point, when you're having these arguments, because I say this to my team at work, I said, look, I tell my team at work, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. So when is that going to happen where you say, you know, I have something that's bothering me. I need to talk to you about this, but I think this is how we could work this out.
What do you mean, in a relationship?
In a relationship, where's that approach about? Where's the compromise? Where's the art of compromise when it comes into having discussion or having a disagreement about something?
But again,
not everybody can do that.
That is an individual thing, because there's people who try to have discussions and they're not heard. So at the end of the day, you have to be aware of who you are and how you're showing up and how you're affecting somebody. If you're giving love and affection and you getting your behind beat because you didn't cook at 5 o'clock, I mean,
why does it have to be physical? That's what I want.
I am just going back in my mind. I'm just saying there are situations. When I talk about situation, I'm talking about vague situations. And that's all I'm saying. You have to know, like, okay, is this right for me to get beat because the food ain't on the table at 5 o'clock? You have to decide.
Yeah,
that.
but I think it even starts way before that. At the end of the day, and Ron keeps saying it. If you are with someone, and again, you know, I'm always a preacher on intention, and we have to be enlightened and we have to be aware. If you get to know someone and you start to see attributes that are not going to bring you to be a better person, that are not, it's going to bring like really nasty things out of you, or it's putting yourself in harm, you can't have the conversations with them. People can't be honest. That's not a relationship you need to be in. You need to move on. And I think that's part of the issue. Yeah, exactly.
Ronchi got the floating scissors.
So. No, he's walking away.
That's the walk. Person was the scissors.
You have to learn.
That's the combination.
Yeah,
that's the combination. Scissors and walk.
So let ego go. We have to again, self-love, self-care. And we have to say to ourselves, this is not a situation that is going to serve me. And I have to move on, because I think the problem gets when you get deeper in the relationship and you stay there and allow things to happen.
There you go.
It then becomes harder to leave. So I think we have to learn. Somebody said it in one of the questions or something. We have to learn the art of walk away. If it's not serving you, you have to.
But you know what I've learned?
But that's not the issue. I was talking about the root. How do we show up? These are different things we're talking about. That's all I'm saying. Like, Carlos was saying one thing. I was addressing that. It starts with us, the adult, the parents, teaching our children to teach and to treat everyone equally. I went past the relationship back into the root of where we start.
Yeah. And
the issues are there already. There is nothing we can do.
I think that's what we're missing. We're not, like Louis said this in the beginning, we've got to do that. He does it. I think we're probably all doing that. But how sternly are we doing it? And how much of us are doing it? Because that's the problem. Going back to what Ronchi and Deborah said, though, was interesting, because like Deborah said, when you get deep into the relationship and these things start to pop up, what do we do then? Because what I've noticed is when this happens, women tend to feel like, man, I'm invested. I got kids. We got a house, or I'm not making enough money to leave. And so they stay. Then the dudes will stay because, you know what? I'm invested too, and this is my main lady. Let me go cheat, and I'll do this. It's like everybody's avoiding handling the situation the more you've been invested. The beginning of a relationship is easy. You know, oh, what? Are you serious? Oh, no, I'm out. So it takes a lot of strength for people, male or female, more so females, to say this guy is not for me, because her girlfriend's like, girl, this guy is tripping. He put his hands on you. You need to get out of here. He's saying what? You need to go. And they have them. But it's easier for the ladies to say than it is for the ladies to make that decision and to move. They're not saying come move in with me, or here, I got money for you. They're just saying you got to go. They're not giving any solutions. And men are saying, man, my lady's tripping, blah, blah, blah. All his homeboys are saying, well, let's go hang out because there's a whole bunch of girls out here or women out here. So everybody's avoiding that the longer you're in a relationship. Not everybody's mature enough, Ronchi, to speak. And it's something I had a takeaway from last night about. It was a question about I think it was a question in the group where it asked about emotions. Why are men?
Yeah, I wanted to ask
something about. What was the question then? Because I want to speak to that.
Why are men afraid to show emotions, or how do men show emotion?
Okay,
it was something along that line.
Because all these issues I think overlap. All of them overlap. But that right there, for the men perspective, if I can share this, and it hit me after we closed out last night. Why are men afraid to share emotions?
I don't think it's that they're afraid. I just think they show the wrong emotions.
Nah,
maybe so. But
Let
me speak to what Louis just said, because I agree with what he said. Because men are emotional.
We are.
Why do we not share it? Why do we not say exactly how we feel, or what we feel, or what we think sometimes? We know that men and women are two total different species. I can't remember who it was. There's a lady in the group that said something about, I remember who said it too. I'm not gonna say any names, but she basically said something about men or something or another. We're just, basically she said we're different, but it was not exactly the word she used. Yes, we're different. Men and women are totally two different species of human beings. I think I said that last night. But the men is that sometimes we don't have the emotional, listen what I'm about to say, we don't have the emotional bandwidth. We're in a society where we're talking about technology. Right now, we're having a conversation on Zoom. So let's talk about the emotional bandwidth. Earlier, before this show, I couldn't get into the system and I couldn't hear right. My computer didn't have the digital bandwidth, whatever they call it, the long range or short wave frequencies to allow me to hear y'all correctly. My computer, my device did not have the bandwidth. Sometimes we as men don't have the emotional bandwidth to understand the situation or understand our women in our relationships. And so we don't have it, it's distorted. Either what we're receiving or what we're transmitting. And so it comes out wrong, or we don't say the right thing, or we don't say what we mean. Or the receiver, which is our ladies or women in general, don't receive it properly because there again, there's some distortion because we don't have the emotional bandwidth. So when my man doesn't speak to me, he doesn't express himself, he doesn't tell me what he wants, he doesn't tell me what I'm doing wrong, he doesn't, and so the woman is frustrated. We're mad because our ladies don't appreciate, we feel like they don't appreciate us, or they're not listening to me, or they're not giving me what I want, which almost is an answer for why people cheat or why men cheat. So the big thing goes back to what Ranchi and what Louis said is the communication piece. I think we can figure out how to communicate, meaning somebody asked earlier, I think, Deb, I don't know if you said this or not. Somebody asked me, no, it wasn't you, Deborah. Somebody asked me, do you feel that relationships should start as friends? Absolutely, relationships should start as friends and develop a friendship. Now, of course, we want to get to the sex. We got to get to the sex. We got to, and it's gonna come. But sometimes we get once we get, like Bobby said last night,
no pun intended,
it changes our whole trajectory of wanting to become friends. Because once you become friends, you understand each other. Whether it's two men, me and Ranchi met each other at somebody's barbecue, and we're like, okay, cool, you smoke cigars, I smoke cigars too, or you drink this, I drink this, cool, let's meet. Now we friends outside of that group of people we met in. Okay, and now we're starting to get to know each other, and we're building a bond. Now it may stop at a certain point because he might be into some other stuff I'm not into. So it's just okay. We might get together and have some cigars and conversation every now and again. Where me and Louis might get together and become the greatest of friends. We like brothers now in about 2 or 3 years. That we have that emotional connection, that bandwidth. My bandwidth works with his bandwidth. So if you flip it over to a male and female relationship, it's the same concept. It's just that I may not have that bandwidth to be able to even communicate with her, or she receive what I'm trying to communicate. We've got to teach each other. We've got to communicate some way. Like, for example, tonight I couldn't get on. And I had to think of a solution. And I was frustrated and I was mad. I could be frustrated and say, look, guys, I'm not going to be able to be on tonight. My computer tripping. You can say, man, Carlos, man, we really wish you could have. And I say, well, I'm done. Good night. Or I could say, let me think through this, or let me try to reboot. I remember that moved first. Then I said, well, let me try this, let me try that. And I said, you know what, let me reboot. And I did that. I rebooted the computer, blah, blah, blah. And it was taking too long, so I grabbed my phone. Meaning, Louis said earlier, he's about solutions. Not everybody's about solutions. Some people get frustrated and stop. Some people get frustrated and get angry. Some people, so bottom line is, it goes back to who are we as people? Do we really want to work this relationship out?
Right.
She might run. I might get mad and do something stupid. And you see what I'm saying? It goes back to communication, maturity. But what do we tell the younger people that aren't mature? That's the hard part. We made it, but what about them?
It's technically, it's a learning thing, whereas we as people in relationships need to have discussions to understand what the next person is saying. We usually just hear someone say something and immediately answer without understanding where they're coming from or what they're saying. So of course, they're gonna always have a back and forth because they're gonna listen, they're gonna hear the words come in, but they're registering exactly and understanding what that person's saying. So if you're capable of understanding the discussion we have, and we can always have a problem. Because men don't show emotions. Men don't show emotions, but it's how we come across. Men don't show emotions the way females show emotion. Female can add an extra flamboyant to it. Men going to just drop it out and take it. This is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. But you have to understand and decide for your man. That's your man. You have to understand what your man is saying. You can have a conversation with your man and now bring that conversation to a guy friend of yours to see how the guy friend will react to it. But that's not, that guy friend ain't your man. You can bring home that energy now and be throwing it at your man now. But you shouldn't be this way, you shouldn't be that way. But you understand your man, but you have a responsibility to your man. You have to understand your guy and be with your guy if you want to be in a relationship. It makes
with that guy.
Yeah, it makes no sense by far if you just want to listen to argue. There's no right, there's no wrong. There's my opinion, there's your opinion. We're human. So somewhere they're gonna have a compromise, but at the same time, it comes down to understanding.
So is it still, Ranchi, is it still that we men are more logical and women are more emotional? Is it still that concept?
It's
careful how you say that.
Well, no, seriously. I mean, women. I mean, we can talk science. We can read books. We can. Bottom line is the book that says men are from Mars or women are from Venus, men are from Mars. Men are logical. Women are more emotional. Now,
it's still the same.
Women, of course, clearly, there's women that's way smarter than me, so they use more logic than me. But men are more the facts, black and white, where women got all beautiful colors and watercolors and this, and they're more emotional. And so then they look at us and go, "Hi, man, you need to be more emotional. You need to be more sensitive. You need to talk to me."
Yeah.
I'm a logical guy. Like Ranchi said, I'm gonna be an Apple where you're an Android. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't, you know what I mean? Is it still the case? Is that what we're still dealing with?
But we still plug in with
USB. Men out here now.
You're Apple, I iPhone, but we still gonna plug in with USB. We still need a USB port to charge. So we still need electricity.
You still got to plug in to get a charge, eh?
You still gotta plug in to get a charge.
But at the end of the day, regardless of what phone we got, we still should be able to communicate, though, right? I can call you.
So
you're right.
And exactly, no matter what phone you have, you can still communicate. It
all comes back to being able to communicate. Is that what it is?
It comes down to communication and understanding. Understanding the partner that you're with. That's a whole thing of it. You have to understand who you're with. Take time to understand the partner that you're with to see if you want to be in a relationship with that person. People just end up jumping into the relationship because the sex was good. Oh boy, I ain't leaving that. Yeah, because it was good. But other aspects of the relationship ain't good. She ain't for you. Yes, that part was good. She gave you that bomb thing all the time, but that ain't for you.
So in that case, we should be able to communicate that I'm here for the sex only, and this is the meantime.
No, if that's what it is, right? Is that what you jumping in for?
That was one of our first shows, the hookup culture.
We in the 1960s no more. We in 2021. You could sit down and be okay with it.
Yeah.
If she don't want to give it to you, book the find the next one. somebody gonna bring a roll with you. It's up to you. You just gotta be honest with it and just roll, because it makes sense to lie and then dog out a girl and then she gotta create some new horrors to carry behind her back to more distrust men, and she want to trust this next guy because he
Right
might be
there, you broke in somebody right there.
yeah. You mess up somebody else's chance. Now, are you trying to get in with a girl with my good heart? She want to listen to me
Yep,
for the power of the
exactly.
So,
lines.
brothers, last night we talked about how we're seeing that in today's society, in 2021, we're seeing more men are wanting to settle down or have the aspirations to settle down, where women are now, we've reversed roles. I think, ladies, we talked about that, where I think we took a consensus that we realized that more men nowadays are wanting to look for relationships they can be serious in, and a lot of women now are the opposite, like we used to be, and they're like, you know what, let me just soil my royal oats and move around a little bit. If I can throw the Coming to America 2 version in there, analogy in there. Is that what we're seeing? More women are more flexible in relationships than men these days?
It's happening more often than it used to. Let's say like that. It happens now more often than it used to before. I won't say it changed, but it's happening more often now than it used to. It's more acceptable.
Exactly. It's becoming a
norm. It's more
now.
okay. You date your partner and say, man, I say fine, not a problem. It's more acceptable. Women aren't judged based off of who they were with and stuff like that no more. Like before,
they used to be.
Back, it would be like a discrimination. Oh my God, you've been with 2 days. Yeah, that don't even matter. That don't even matter. Like fellas nowadays looking for that sustainment. Like you say, men or women are equal now. So women now have the positions and jobs and the salaries men only used to have. So men going to reach that point to be able to provide. Now women are up there, men are below.
So we like, listen, you make the same much as me. I'm not gonna keep dating everybody and spending money on this and that. I gotta slow it down. I gotta find the one for me to save me some money, right? I gotta pay for this $30,000-$40,000 wedding.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I know an hour and a half was not going to be enough time, because I mean we didn't even touch on half the things. But before we end, one of the things that I wanted to ask everybody was, what do you think this platform is doing for our community, our Love and Enlightenment community? And what impact do you think that it has or can have?
I think we should pose that question to the viewers. I think we should actually get
viewers,
them involved.
I want to ask.
Get them involved also on that. That's an interesting question, Debbie. Yeah. Very interesting question.
That's a very good question.
I definitely will. Go ahead, Malik.
I'll say this because I'm new. I'm very new to the group. I've been pretty boisterous, just because I'm a communicator, which is, I feel like I'm odd because I run my mouth a lot. But I run my mouth with thought, unless I'm cracking jokes or something. But coming into the group, and I can't remember, I think Lucian brought me in. Coming into the group, I was like, man, another Facebook group? I'm not into Facebook groups because it's just a lot of foolishness. I can come in and be a clown all day, but I got too many things going on in life to be a clown all day. So when I came in the group, I was like, okay, Love and Enlightenment, here we go. And I looked and I saw the different posts and this, that, and the other. Like, okay, great. These are great sayings. This is cute. And then I started to see some discussion. And then I said, well, let me get into some of this discussion because it's interesting. And I like things like that. I'm drawn to it. It makes me think. I'm a married man. I'm a 51-year-old, newly 51-year-old as of March. Married man, father of 4, 3 adult children and 1 soon-to-be adult. Living in St. Croix for almost 6 years. And I said, let me tap into the community to see what's going on. And I wasn't disappointed because it was respectful, deep dialogue, whether we crack jokes or not. It talked about topics that could be heated. You got to see some of the pain that some people are carrying. You got to see some of the healing. it wasn't just love. It wasn't just sex. The sex, I think, is like third or fourth on the list as far as what you're seeing. It was enlightenment was the key marquee thing. And then I had seen that y'all were having these conversations on YouTube, and I was like, okay, when I slow down, I'll tap in, maybe I'll listen. I really wanted to click in, but then it said, dude, stream this, stream yard that. And I was like, I ain't trying to click this and click that. So maybe I'll catch it one day. And then I found myself constantly responding. Then I said, well, let me start asking questions because you can learn. And then I said, wait a minute, I know her, I know him, I know. Cool, now I'm learning what people are thinking and feeling and going through in relationships that can make me stronger or better as a person. And so, especially in my relationship, and the beware of pitfalls and this and that. And so, matter of fact, my wife is a member of the group. I don't know if anybody's seen that or not. And so I invited her, I said, hey, you need to get in this group, check this out and see what's going on. She's like, really? And she slowly came in. But the beautiful thing is that it's a collective of people more so on island, but then there's also many people that aren't on island. I think we can grow, this platform can reach out to many people because we're people. And people are all going through the same thing. So I think it's an awesome thing. And it was funny to be able to meet you, even though I had a mask on. That's why I was joking. When you met me, I was joking.
I know. I'm like, are you Cruising Carlos? And he was like, no, but everybody says I sound like him, right? I'm like, what?
I was like, that's my brother, right? Or something like that. Because life needs to be fun. And I didn't know who you were, and I didn't know where you were coming from at the time. You look familiar. Right. I didn't know. But the bottom line is, once I realized, okay, wait a minute. Yes. And to me, like Grantley already is a movie star to me. He's a movie star. He is, seriously. Seriously. I carry myself with a lot of confidence because that's just, I have to in life. You have to carry yourself with confidence. That doesn't mean arrogance. So when somebody says something or they have a certain presence to me, like Lewis, I don't know if you remember me, but I know LTRG, blah, 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 this and the other. So I don't forget faces. People to me are movie stars. You can be a rock star to me and never sung a song before in your life. You represented the group. And so I was instantly excited. Wait a minute. Okay, yes. And I started wanting to talk about more things. And so obviously this group is inspiring to many people, whether they say it or not. We got people talking about things where they normally wouldn't talk. And I'm sure I can put money on it that a lot of people, whether they're watching this show or they're just every now and again going to the group, they're learning something, they're getting a different perspective, and hopefully they're applying it to themselves and in the relationships they're in or in the next relationship they get in. So I think it's a great thing. I think we should keep doing what we're doing, keep expanding. I think this is a great addition to that. So I'm just honored to even be here. I've ran my mouth a lot, but because I'm excited and I'm very passionate about what we're talking about. So yes, it's a good thing.
Thank
it's a very good thing.
That was dope, man. Malik, that was insightful.
We're glad you're here. We're glad to have you.
How about you? How about you, Grantley?
No, you see, listen, when I first started to watch this show, I was in a real bad place. But this show kind of bring me around. It helped me to learn some stuff and see other people that was in a bad place too. And how they come out, what they do. And it just gripped me ever since. And I find myself in tune every Thursday. I love it. And I love that the traffic that goes on every day too. To see how much people join in, how much people commenting, how much people trading information. Iron or sharpen iron, and we need to work together in order to fix this whole thing.
Excellent. How about you? How about you, Anchi?
Sorry?
How about you?
Well, I totally agree with Malik. I was on 100%. I like the platform. I like this. You learn a lot from it, and it helps you as a person to grow. You'll see your errors in life. You will see where you could do more for your relationship, aspects of how you could grow yourself. I really find the platform is real good. I joined a while now. Like, I think when y'all just started to kick off.
Today makes 6 months, actually.
Yeah, been something like that. Yeah, been a while.
You've been with us for a while, Ryan. You've been with us.
Yeah, I've been here for a while, so it's been good. Our influence people to join in. focus, listen, get into it, help yourself. It's a learning thing. It's a good thing. I like it. I like it,
Wonderful.
like it.
Let me
Wonderful.
read.
Wonderful.
I
Well, what
haven't
was
been
the
able to read
inspiration?
most of the posts that were going today, but Dr. Williams, who has also been a guest, he said to that question that I asked, the platform is spot on. If ever something was needed, this is it. The potential to change and impact lives and relationships for the better is happening before our very own eyes. Please keep it going. And
Beautiful.
Nicole said the discussions help to understand other perspectives. So again, I am honored.
Blessings.
We've been doing this for 6 months. We're almost to actually 1,000 members. Again, it's a private group. So, and the way that Facebook platform works now is once it's private, you can't turn it public. So of course, you know, we encourage everybody to continue to invite your friends and your family. Because at the end of the day, and I say it over and over again, this was created for us to have the conversation, because I think in our communities, we just live life and we are not intentional about living. And I think because we do that, we don't really sit down and have the conversations with everybody. We kind of maybe have it with our select few friends who are maybe in the same place. So then it's hard for growth to take place. So my hope and my desire is definitely to continue this, because again, if we can touch lives, change perspectives, change legacies in families, have people living intentional, purposeful living, I think at the end of the day, that's the only way we're going to be able to build and create a healthier community. So we definitely will be having a lot more of these discussions. As you guys know, our guests, we have conversations on other nights, and it's just us. And those conversations, I remember when I was telling Ranchi that it usually goes about 2 hours. I didn't really want to scare him because sometimes we go like 4 hours, and it just depends what we're talking about. It can go on and on and on, and you guys experience that, because again, an hour and a half is really not enough time. But that's why we try to have this our show is every Thursday. And we will be inviting more people to join us to have these conversations, because I think those conversations that we have in the background are even more profound, and we can get really deep. And so I just want to thank everybody who's continuing to be a part of it, for again inviting your friends and family, for hosting inspirational, encouraging words, giving people perspectives, making you really think about the decisions you make. You see it one way, and then you see other people write it a different way. You're like, wow, I didn't even think about that, So that is one of the things I completely enjoy. And I, again, want to thank everybody for, like I said, we had a couple more people on last night. For whatever reason, they're not able to be here tonight, but we will be having more of these men and women
I hear some
conversations.
feedback. I don't know feedback.
I'm hearing it too. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
But again, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Please stay safe and healthy. We're still going through this pandemic, and we will see you next week, Thursday.
Good night, everyone.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I just want to add to Debbie really quick. Want to thank definitely the gentlemen this evening. The show is really about you guys and bringing your perspective and having, giving the viewers a chance to show that we can have this type of conversation and have gentlemen on the show and talk about that post that Debbie posted. So thanks for coming on. Of course, like Debbie said, we're going to be back again next week. It's going to be a little bit different. Stay tuned for that. Look out for that. And check us on YouTube, subscribe and like, and thanks for coming on, and wishing everyone good things, great things, beautiful things.
Thanks for having us.
Good night.
Good night,
All right.
folks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.